Welcome everyone to this mantra breathing. The theme of this week is revolutionary relationships. So Sandra and I wanted to address that, and we're happy to have you here breathing with us. And this is an important theme for everyone. I just wanted to say about revolutionary relationships that the two most important ones, I think, in my life have been, first, my relationship to my Creator. Of course, that would have to be your first relationship, right? And a lot of people may not have that divine connection so strengthened in their awareness, but that's the purpose of this work, is to strengthen our connection and our awareness of our divine Creator. Our connection with our divine Creator. You could call it God, you could call it the life force, whatever you want to call it, but that spiritual dimension. And that's our primary relationship. And then our human relationships kind of come under that umbrella of divine relationship. And I wrote this book called The Master is Beautiful, and you can get it on Amazon. And the reason I wrote that was it's mostly a book about our relationship with a spiritual teacher or a spiritual master. This relationship with a spiritual master, I think, is very important, and that's why I wrote this book, The Master is Beautiful. And in it, I describe my relationship with 9 spiritual masters that affected my life. And then recently I found this little book on yoga that I think you should all know about. There was Master Swami Vivekananda, and he was a disciple of Ramakrishna in the late 1800s, early 20th century. And he traveled all over India, all over the Western world, and he gave treatises on yoga, and probably the clearest ever written. And there's a nice little book out now with his 4 books on yoga, all in one volume. It's called Yoga by Swami Vivekananda, the complete book of yoga. And I think you would all enjoy getting that. It's not very expensive. It's under $20. It's hardbound. And he talks about the 4 main yogas: Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. And I think you'd really enjoy having this little book. It's written in essay form, so you don't have to read it start to finish. You can open it anywhere and read just one little essay. So this is from his section on Bhakti Yoga called The Qualifications of the Aspirant and the Teacher. I'm just going to read one paragraph. How are we to know a teacher then? The sun requires no torch to make him visible. We need not light a candle in order to see him. When the sun rises, we instinctively become aware of the fact. And when the teacher of men comes to help us, the soul will instinctively know that truth has already begun to shine upon it. Truth stands in its own evidence. It does not require any other testimony to prove it true. It is self-effulgent, meaning it sheds its own light. It penetrates into the innermost corners of our nature. And in its presence, the whole universe stands up and says, "This is truth." The teachers whose wisdom and truth shine like the light of the sun are the very greatest the world has known, and they are worshipped as God by the major portion of mankind. But we may get help from comparatively lesser ones, only we ourselves do not possess intuition enough to judge properly of the man from whom we receive teaching and guidance. So there ought to be certain tests, certain conditions for the teacher to satisfy, as there are also those for being taught. So then he talks about how he found his spiritual master, Ramakrishna. And I think you would all benefit from this little book on yoga by Vivekananda, The Complete Book of Yoga. And also, you would benefit by my book, The Master is Beautiful. I got that title in Bali. Sandra and I were relaxing after the Bali quest, and we were in our villa resting and playing good music. And this title came to me, The Master is Beautiful. And how beautiful a spiritual master is. It's like a primary relationship. It's like you have your mate, right? That's your primary relationship. But you also have your spiritual master, and that's equally important in life. So that would be a revolutionary relationship, your relationship with your spiritual master. And we hope you all can discover that and nurture that and have the benefits of that. So I think now, Sandra Ray, it's time for you to step in here. And here's Sandra Ray talking about revolutionary relationships.
It's evolutionary love relationships. And a long time ago, I read this book by Andrew Harvey. It was called Evolutionary Love Relationships. And for some reason, I just opened it, and I always highlight everything. Marcus never highlights, but I like to highlight stuff. So I just read reading the highlights of that book again. I hadn't read it for about 20 years. And I thought, oh my God, I need to talk about this. This is a new kind of relationship. It's based on partnerships united by a vision of loving service to the world. And that's what I asked for from Babaji. I said, give me a partnership with whom I can serve you in the mission, somebody that fits the mission. So I asked for that specifically, and I got it. And that's what I recommend. The more we care for humanity, the more we let the river of love flow abundantly through our hearts. So love should be love for all. We love our partner to the degree we love the world. So service helps us find the ability to stay passionately in love with our partner, because the more you serve humanity, the more high energy you get, because you're doing karma yoga, and service to humanity brings you happiness. Babaji always said the formula for happiness is love, truth, simplicity, and service. So by serving the world, we not only are giving, but we receive back tenfold the energy. And then you got more energy for your partnership. See, there's nothing that gives back more to you than service. So love can only flourish if we come out of our privatized, personalized prisons at home. And some people say, well, I'm going to wait till I get my life completely together before I can be of service. No, that's a mistake that people make all the time. If you start doing service, your life will come together. It's the other way around. A couple must work together for something that brings greater love and care to the world. They see their service like a sacred prayer, not simply an act of charity. And that's how Marcus and I look at our service. It's like a sacred prayer. We see our relationship as a contribution to the transformation of the world, as a sacred act of communion. And this helps us learn generosity, and you learn more generosity through service, and then you have more to give your mate. See, by being in a service mentality, you get more generous, then you prosper more, and you have more to give your mate. People who are in this kind of evolutionary relationship, they don't let their personal problems become their central thing. Their engagement in the world changes their psyche. And I'm sure that Marcus would say the same thing. We move from focusing on our own overwhelming personal issues to what we can do for the world. It doesn't mean we don't work on our case. We're always working on our case, but we're not saying, well, I can't serve the world till I get my case cracked. No, my case gets cracked by serving. That's how it works. if we are going to, and Andrew Harvey says this, if we're going to continue to have a vision of a relationship as purely personal, purely private, and something that we cultivate only for our own pleasure, then we are feeding the tragic narcissism that's raging in the planet, he said. That's the problem. If you're not in a service, you might get too narcissistic. So we're not here just to keep each other company. We're here to show each other God and become God together. And the more you serve with your mate together, the more you get your divinity. You become excited, thrilled, and enriched by something that you can do together, rather than obsessing about your disappointments. You get excited about how you can serve together. You know, and when you feel like you're helping transform the world, you just feel good. Now, the first requirement, of course, is that both beings in the relationship have to have a deep and passionate devotion to the beloved. That's what Mark has already covered. Then, from the recognition of each other as the beloved, flows a natural movement of passionate honoring and service. But you have to center your whole being and work and evolution to God, right? So you have to do whatever is required to deepen your relationship to God. That's your spiritual practices, of course. And you have to do your practices of prayer and purification. And you never stop growing spiritually. I think you guys have figured that out, or you wouldn't be here today. So I really honor you. I'm just sad there's a lot of people that should be here that aren't here. So the couple must spend time to develop a vision in which they work together for something that brings greater love and care to the world. And they should become more and more generous by doing that and not allow personal problems to overwhelm them. When we're engaged in serving the world, we come into a deeper understanding and acceptance of each other, because we have a bigger picture, and our engagement in the world changes our focus. We're again moving from overwhelming personal problems to what we can do for the world. And that's our top priority. People often think, well, the person they found as their partner is the source of their love. No, that doesn't work. You've got to go to the real source of love, which is the divine. And service isn't something we do when we have time, but it should be the wellspring of our being, he said. Keeps your love bubbling when you're doing service. I'm just repeating this part. Most people say, oh, let me take care of my own private needs first, and then after that, hopefully I can do something for the planet. That's where most people are stuck. But a more inspirational model is, I start with passion for the world and for the other. So I'm just repeating what I said to make sure you guys get that point. A passion for the world helps you break out of your personal privatized self, and you become a global person. And your life will be transformed. When you think globally or think how you can serve your community, it transforms your life. And he also talked a lot about the Divine Feminine. We just came from India at the Divine Mother Festival. And, I was so healed. Every time I go to Huracan for the Divine Mother Festival, I'm just blown away. And my issues always get solved that I've been working on. And he was telling you I was working on a lot of past lives the last year and a half. And and it was hard. And I figured out why, and he told you why. But I got it all cleared up in Huracan, so it was so worth it. So the Divine Feminine is the radiant love and passionate for life. And the patriarchal old traditions have kind of demonized this by excluding the feminine. Passion is a supreme gift of the Divine Feminine, Andrew says. And that kind of and Rumi said, passion is a supreme elixir and renews all things. Passion of the Divine Mother, it renews everything. That's my experience when we go to the Divine Mother Festival. I feel healed, I feel renewed. When we have this passion for service, our energy becomes regenerated. So we have to dedicate ourselves to a form of service that really, whatever our deepest gifts are. What are your deep? Everybody has a gift they can offer to the universe. Okay, so that's kind of a summary of evolutionary love relationships, and the whole book is really about world service, using your relationship for world service. And I'm so glad that I was able to manifest that. I asked for that from Babaji, and I manifest that. So I recommend that you try this. Pray to God and Babaji that you want that kind of relationship where you're serving the world together. That's an evolutionary love relationship. Okay, we're going to breathe on that. Thank you all for coming. You can write to me, Sandra@sandrarate.com, if you have any comments or questions. I will always answer you guys.
I just want to say you probably all know this, the bit.ly link that I give people to log in is not to be entered on the Zoom website. It's not a Zoom link. It's a special link that has the Zoom info already embedded in it. So if you try it on the Zoom website, it won't work. But you just put it in a regular address bar on your browser, or you can just click it from an email. Just simply click it, and it'll take you right there to the Zoom page. And then you enter the password miracles, and you're in. So some of you continue to have trouble with that, but I think you're making it harder than it is. If you just click the link, it'll take you right there. Simple. All righty.